Apostle Paul gives us a glimpse into his inner walk with God. Notice his inner walk with God, not his ministry, not the discipline, being a disciple of the church, or the organizational structure of the church, or the discipline in the church, but we just get a glimpse of what his walk was like with Christ and what his relationship was like with Christ. Just a glimpse, and I think it's a very powerful thing because none of us know what it's like to be someone else, and so we can't compare ourselves effectively because we don't know what it's like to be them. Because I don't really know whether you're happy or not. I don't know whether you're fulfilled or not. I don't know if you're enjoying this season in your life or not. But all I know is the image that you put up before me, the smile that you put up before me, the Facebook posts or the Instagram or the Snapchat or Twitter, all of that. That's the only thing that I know is what you give me, but I never will know what it's like to be you. And so Paul actually lets us in to understand that. Because if I didn't have these words, I wouldn't know what it's like for the man of God or the woman of God or the person of God. And I use terms like this because when you say the man of God, they think about the pulpit. People automatically think about the pastor or the preacher, and I'm not after that right now because what I'm talking to you about today is all of us. I'm talking about all of us collectively. And so in the text before us, Paul is coming to the end of a summarization of how blessed he is and how much God has done for him and the depth of revelation that he has and how much God has spoken into his life. And right on the heels of a dissertation about whether in the body or the spirit, I cannot tell. I know a man who saw things that were not lawful to be uttered, and almost all theologians think that he's actually referring to himself. But in order to cast the light off of himself, Paul begins to talk to us in third person. He speaks to us in third person, but in reality, he's saying of the abundance of the revelation that was given to me. I want you to think about the abundance that's been given to you. But he says, out of the abundance of the revelation that's been given to me. And I want you to think about something. I was talking to a student the other day. He was talking about his relationship with his dad. I didn't have one, wasn't where he wanted it to be. He was defeated, he was discouraged, he was upset, he was kind of had a little bit of rage. And I had to point him back to the fact that God is with him. He's never alone. Even though there was something that he didn't have, I had to point him back to the things that he does have. And I wonder how many of you that's true for, that maybe you focus so much on the things that you don't have, and who left you, and who didn't do this, but instead of thinking about the things that you do have and what's left in your life. And the thing that I want you to understand is that look at all of the people who've been there for you. Now, I'm not talking about the ones who have, all of the people who have been there for you. Might not have been family, might not have been blood, but think about the people in your life who had your back. Think about the fact that that was God's sum total of his commitment to get love to you even when you felt unloved. And this is what I was trying to get the student to understand. That even if God had to bring it in another way, when I got him to understand, to take his eyes off of the liability, to take his eyes off of what he didn't have, to take his eyes off of the negative things and to think about the assets and the positive things and the blessings in his life, not the burdens, not the shortcomings, not the things that weren't going right, but the assets, the things that were going good, the ways that God provided them, the abundance, this is Paul's talking about, the abundance of revelation that was given him. And you think about the abundance of things that has been done for you. It balances out your liability when you begin to think about the assets in your life. See, life is just a combination of assets and liabilities. We see and we want and we crave assets, but sometimes in life we're not prepared for the liabilities. Every advancement in your life is going to cost you. Everything that you've accomplished in life, you have to pay a price for that. Every accomplishment that exists in your life, and every victory, and every revelation, and every economic blessing, and every emotional blessing, and every physical blessing, there's always something that balances it out, lest you be exalted above measure. I want you to understand that it's not just God when the blessings come. See, we're in the middle of this pandemic, and everybody was excited about 2020, including me. 2020 is the year of vision. 2020 is the year that we're going to fly. 2020 is the year that the vision is going to pass. And we jumped and we shouted coming into the year with all of the anticipation. And then we got to March and the coronavirus pandemic hit, and all of us are still trying to figure life out. And most people want 2020 to be over. They want it to be done. Never realizing that if God is going to bless us in 2020, that if he's going to give us increase in 2020, that if he's going to bless our business and our ministries and our relationships and bless us on our job and bless us financially and do all of those things that we've been waiting on. We never thought that the God that we serve that blesses us, that there would be a liability that would ever come out in our lives. And I just want to tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, this pandemic that we're in is a liability. It is not an asset. It is a liability, and it's tough, and we've been stressed, and we don't know what to do, and we're exhausted, and we're up under pressure, and we don't know what's going to happen, and we're in the midst of this. And I want you to understand, I'm not saying that God brought this. I don't know who did it. But I can tell you that God is in the midst of it. Because if he wanted to, he could take it away within the twinkling of an eye. Because that's the God that we serve. He's bigger than the coronavirus. He's bigger than a pandemic. He's greater than any kind of virus that could come against us. He's greater than any sickness. He's a healer. And so if he wanted to do it, he could do it right now. And so I want you to understand that it's not just God when the blessing comes. It's also God when the buffeter or the enemy comes. And Paul says it was a gift to me, a messenger of Satan. And come think of that with me, a messenger of Satan being a gift to me. My problem, and everybody's got one. Everybody's got something you can't keep. Everybody's got something that you can't beat. Everybody's got something that you struggle with, that you wrestle with. Some kind of insecurity, some kind of intimidation, some kind of fear or doubt or low self-esteem or anger or frustration or bitterness. All of us have something that we haven't been able to beat, that we haven't been able to kick, and that we have not been able to defeat. Everybody, what I'm trying to tell you is everybody has that nice, neatly designed devil. All of us have our own nice, neatly designed devil that has been designed to us. And Paul says it was given to me. You got to read the text. It was given to me. Why would God give you or send you a messenger of Satan? Why? First of all, let me stop right there and talk about the fact of how glad I am that if the enemy accessed me, that if Satan accessed me, that if the devil accessed me, he had to go through God first. He had to go through God to get to me. He had to have God's permission to do anything to me, which lets me know that God is still in control. And so I'm glad because I know that God had to allow it if he came to get me. And so the good news is that he can't just come to me on his own. And the good news is the devil can't just come to you on his own. That he had to get permission to even get near me. That he had to get permission to even get near you. And so that's good for me to know, because I know that the devil is not in control, but I know that God is. And so I get to know that the devil has not been able to do whatever it is that he wants to do in my life whenever he wants to do it. And so you have to understand that if God could allow the enemy to come, if he would send a messenger of Satan, if he would send a buffeter to us, it means that we live in a controlled environment. Yeah, you and I live in a controlled environment. A controlled environment. God determines how hot it gets and how cold it gets and how much suffering you go through and how many blessings you have. God is in control, and he will not allow your haters, he will not allow your enemies and your naysayers to get their hands on the control switch of your life. And so if it accesses you, good or bad, right or wrong, up or down, evil or kind, if it got to you, God had to give permission. And the reason that God had to give permission is because you are kept. Yeah, you're kept. Just look at somebody and tell them you're kept. Somebody that's around you, say, I'm kept. I'm kept. Yeah, I'm kept. I don't know about you, but I'm kept. I'm kept. If something had to get to me, it had to go through God first. And so I'm kept. And so when I tell you that you're kept, it means that you are framed in. It means that you live in a gated community, that you can't just drive up on me. You got to ring the bell and ask for permission to come and access me. It means that I'm gated. It means that I have boundaries. It means that I've got walls around me. Don't you remember how in the book of Joel, the Bible said that when the sons of God came around the throne, amongst them came Satan. And he said, where have you been, Satan? He said, I've been going to and fro throughout the earth. And God said, have you considered my servant Job? And Satan said, you know you got a hedge around Job. You know you got a hedge around Job. Don't you know that? God's got a hedge around you. That all of the things that Job went through, the only reason that he went through what he went through is because God allowed it. And the only reason that you're going through what you're going through right now is because God allowed it. And the only reason that we are suffering in the middle of this pandemic and going through and wondering what's going to happen next is because God has allowed this. And the reason I tell you he's allowed it because he could fix it just like that. And the reason this thing is persisting is because he has allowed it. I just want to talk to the sisters right now because I need you to understand that you are kept. And so all of the sisters who know that you're kept, you ought to make some noise right now. All of the women who know that you are kept, you ought to make some noise right now. You ought to give God some praise right now because you are kept. You just open up your mouth and tell somebody around you that you are a kept woman. Just say, I am a kept woman. I'm a kept woman. I am a kept woman. I don't know about you, but I'm a kept woman. Type it in. I am a kept woman. I'm a kept woman. God has fences around me. He has barriers around me. I'm on reserve. I'm well taken care of. He opens up doors for me. He makes ways for me. He controls who comes in and he controls who comes out because I am a kept woman. Give God praise if you're a kept woman right now. Just praise him and thank him for being a kept woman. And brothers, I'm not going to leave you out. You ought to just open up your mouth and say, I'm a kept man. I'm a kept man. Lady, he's keeping me too. Let the lady in your life know that he's keeping you too. He kept the gun from going off. He kept me from crashing in the car. He kept me from losing my mind. He kept me from throwing in the towel. He kept me from walking away from my family. He kept me from being locked up in jail. He kept me from being dead at this stage in my life. God kept me, and I know that I wouldn't be here right now if God hadn't kept me. Brothers, you ought to make some noise because it wasn't you and the good things that you do. It was God that kept you. Yeah. And so I know that whatever accesses me has to get permission because I'm in a gated community. You can't just walk up on this. No, you can't just walk up on this. Trouble can't do it. Sickness can't do it. Depression can't do it. Fear can't do it. You can't just walk up on this property. COVID-19 just can't do it. The coronavirus just can't do it. This is God's property. You are God's property. From the crown of my head to the sole of my feet. This is God's property. In fact, if you're not even fighting me, devil, because the battle is not mine. It belongs to the Lord. Because I'm kept. And when you understand that you're kept, you understand that this fight is not even about you. It's between Satan and God. And you're just in the middle of it. If the enemy comes, he has to have permission to do it. And Paul says, it was given to me. A messenger of Satan, a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan sent to buffet me. Now, whatever he is trying to do in my life is bigger than what he used to buffet me. I need you to understand that today. Whatever God is getting ready to do in your life is bigger than the little thing that he sent to buffet you. And so what I need you to understand is this. The victory is not in getting rid of the thorn. I need you to understand it. The victory is not in you getting rid of the thorn. The thorn is a blessing to keep you from some enemy that is worse than the thorn. The thorn is how God treats you to balance you. The thorn is how God and what he uses to stop you from getting so impressed with yourself, to stop you from thinking that you're so such and much. He said, if I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to bless you so much, that if I didn't break you somewhere, the blessing in your life is going to be so great. It's going to be huge. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be a supernatural blessing. But he said it's going to be so big that if I didn't do something to balance you out, you would get beside yourself. And then you might be prideful. See, that's what's wrong with a lot of people. They may come from nothing and they come up and then they get prideful and forget where they came from. And that's what we have a lot of that going on in society today. They've forgotten. They forgot what God brought them through. And now they think themselves above others and they're self-righteous and they're full of pride. And that's why he sends the thorn. So that you won't be that person that gets on your nerves, that you talk about, that thinks that they're so such. Yeah, I know about it. See, that's one thing about the Faith First household. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to tell you the straight up truth about what's going on. I know how you feel. I feel you. I have to deal with them too. I think some of the same thoughts that you think. But he says, I don't want you to be prideful. I don't want you to be arrogant. I don't want you to be high-minded. So he says, you know, I hate pride above everything else anyway. Yeah. And so he said, I'm going to bless you. But in order to stop you from being so proud of yourself, he said, I'm going to give you something that makes you drop your head. I'm going to give you something that humbles you. I'm going to give you something that bothers you. And so this morning, I want to spend some time talking to you about the thing that makes you. Yeah. I want to talk to you about the thing that makes you drop your head. Yeah. Because we all got something that makes us. You look nice today. Oh, thank you. This ain't nothing. Ooh, that's a nice car. I like that car. Oh, yeah, that's a little something. Oh, I like that house. That house is nice. Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, man, you got the job? Ooh, what a blessing. I can't believe that you're working there. Look at this office. Yeah, this is nice. I want to talk to you about the thing that makes you drop your head. When people compliment you, the thing that stops you from really taking it all in is something that you know about yourself, that you realize about yourself, some deficiency, some area of brokenness that humbles you while people compliment you, while people pump you up, while people build your head up, while people boost you up, while people promote you and do all of those things and talk about how great you are. You know in the back of your mind that there's something about you that they don't know that makes you drop your head. Yeah, I want to deal with the dropped heads. It may not be spiritual warfare. In fact, it may be a gift from God that makes you control your character, to give you climate control, to stop you from being so judgmental about other people, and to get rid of that arrogant demeanor. God will send a messenger of Satan to buffet your flesh. Who in the world would think that the Apostle Paul, who was healing the sick and raising the dead and writing most of the epistles of the New Testament church, that behind the scenes, he was getting knocked out. He was getting beat up. Who would think that he's writing and preaching and laying hands and healing the sick and raising the dead, but secretly, somewhere in his life, he was getting punched, and that is what's going on with you right now. And that's why the Lord gave me this message, because there's somebody who's watching this right now. There's some things that are going great in your life, but there's some areas that you. And you don't know what to do, because you've been taking blow after blow after blow. There's somewhere in your life that you're getting hit right now, somewhere in your life where you're up under attack right now. Some of you think that the victory is to stop the attack, but I came to tell you this morning that the attack is your blessing. Yeah, I came to tell you that the attack is your blessing. Stop running from the attack. Stop being upset about the attack. Stop being frustrated about the attack, because the attack is your blessing. If you're getting beat up right now, you're in the right place right now. If you're getting hit right now, you understand where it's coming from. And when you can understand where it's coming from, and the purpose of the attack, then you can begin to have victory in your life. Because now you're informed and you have an understanding. And that's what I'm after today. I'm not making light of the fact that you're getting hit. I'm not making light of the fact that you've been taking blow after blow. I'm not making light of the fact that you're weary and you feel like giving up and you feel like throwing in the towel and you feel like you can't take another punch. I'm not making light of that. I understand. I feel you. I'm tired too. What I'm telling you is don't quit. I'm telling you is that God has something that's so much bigger than you. And that all of these punches and these hittings are just things that are humbling you, that are bringing you back down so that you don't think more of yourself than you ought to, so that you can handle the blessing that God is getting ready to release in your life, and also so that you don't forfeit something that God has for you that you could actually miss because you got high-minded and arrogant and you decided to withhold it because he hates pride. So I need you to understand the purpose, the attack, purpose of the punches, the purpose of the buffet, and the purpose of the thorn in your life.